In case you ever wondered, flour and water basically make wallpaper paste. So, oh, this is totally pasted shut. Welcome to my kitchen. Tomorrow's bread baking day. We're down to just the very last bit of bread that I made last week. So in order to bake bread tomorrow, we have to prepare today. And starting this morning, we're going to feed our sourdough starter. The bread that we're going to make is a multi-grain boule, and it has lots of seeds and lots of different grains in it. So we're going to start with this regular sourdough starter. And since it's been in the refrigerator, we need to wake it up and get it ready to make bread. So what we're going to do is take some of the starter and some flour and water and mix them all together, and that's basically all you have to do to feed your starter. It looks like the hardest part of this whole process today is going to be opening the jar. I don't want to end up wearing it. Oh. Okay, there we go. Whew. I might have to rethink my storage method here. Okay, whew. That was work. So to get started, we're going to feed our sourdough. Equal portions of water, flour, and sourdough starter. Half a cup of flour, a half a cup of sourdough starter, we're going to add our half cup of water, and we're just going to stir that. Then I'm going to cover this and let it sit on the counter until a little bit later this afternoon, at which point we'll mix up the actual bread dough. Okay, it's late afternoon. Our starter has been sitting out on the counter all day, and that's nice and bubbly and ready to work with. The first thing we're going to do is mix up what's called the soaker. The soaker is all of the seeds and grains that are going to make this a whole grain loaf of bread. So we're going to mix this up first, and then we're going to mix up the dough. The reason why this is called the soaker is because we're going to add 3/4 of a cup of hot water to all of those grains, and we're going to let it sit on the counter for about 45 minutes till the water cools down a bit, and all of that water is going to be soaked up by those grains, and then we'll mix the grain in with the dough. Now we'll mix up the dough. We're going to put in warm water. Into that we're going to add some maple syrup. I already have everything pre-measured just to make it easier. Now we're going to add 1/4 cup of our starter, and this is the only yeast that will be in the entire bread. We don't add any baker's yeast to the bread. It's all just the natural yeast that's in the starter itself. So we'll take 1/4 cup of that out. And then what we have left over with the starter, I'm going to feed again and stick back in the refrigerator for next time. It's almost 1/4 cup, a little bit more. Okay. So we'll feed the rest of that starter and stick it back in the refrigerator. Now we're going to add our flour, bread flour, and whole wheat flour, and some salt. We'll mix all of this up and let this sit on the counter for about a half an hour. And then we'll add the soaker. As you can see, that's already soaked up all of the water that we put in there. But it needs to still cool down a little bit. So while this dough is getting started on the counter, the next half hour, we'll add the soaker to it. And what I'm making right now is really, really stiff. But once we add that soaker in, it'll be nice and moist. Just get everything incorporated. I could be doing this with my hand, but I just didn't feel like sticking my fingers in there this time, so I'll just do it with a little rubber scraper. Okay, we're going to cover that and let that sit for 30 minutes. It's a half an hour later and now the soaker has cooled down. So we're going to add the soaker to our dough. This time we're going to use a hand. And this bread doesn't actually get any kneading. It gets mixed and a little bit of folding done, but no actual kneading. This bread rises slowly, so we won't be baking this bread until tomorrow morning. You have to get all of that soaker incorporated into the dough so it's homogeneous. So there it is, all mixed together. You can see it's pretty sticky. With time it will get less sticky. So we're going to let this sit for half an hour and then we're going to fold it. And folding it is just taking the outside edge, folding it over into the center, going the entire way around the outside, folding it in. So fold it and turn it, and fold it and turn it. Now it's time to fold it again. So we're going to take the outside, bring it to the center, and work our way the whole way around in a circle, folding it like that. Then we'll be back in a half an hour to repeat that. This dough has been rising since last evening. So now I'm just going to shape it into a bowl.